welcome to Meet the Kings of Ayodhya. So, today I will be discussing about all the kings of Ayodhya prior to Bhagwan Ram. We often assume Ayodhya and Bhagwan Ram to be synonymous, but Bhagwan Ram was born in an excellent lineage, in an excellent illustrious lineage of kings, and those kings, whatever value systems those kings gave Bhagwan Ram, it is because of them that Ayodhya was, Bhagwan Ram became who he is because of his own lineage, and also Ayodhya was famous because of these kings. And often we do not know, who these kings were, and where this comes from, this conversation. So the whole lineage of Bhagwan Ram is described in the Valmiki Ramayana. It is in the Balkand. And where does this conversation come up? So this whole description is given right before the wedding of Bhagwan Ram and his brothers with Mata Sita and her sisters. So before any wedding in a traditional Hindu system, the Var and the Vadhu, the parents of the Var and Vadhu, discuss their lineages. So if they have the lineages from Manu, then they discuss the lineages from Manu, but at least 8 to 12 generations at an average Hindu should know. One of the reasons they do this is so that there is no cross mingling, there is no intermingling of families, so that we are not marrying our own people. Okay, and for those people, so those who know the lineage will talk of their lineage. In Bhagwan Ram's case, their whole lineage from Manu is spoken about. Even prior to Manu, from Brahma, it's spoken about. And in normal Hindu marriages, so it's a custom. So both the bride's side as well as the groom's side speak about this. So this is happening. I'm going to read out the shloks as well. So this is happening in Janakji's court because the bride party has come in. Ram and Lakshman were already there with Vishwamitraji. And Vishwamitraji is the sage who had taken Bhagwan Ram to the jungle to kill Tadka. And then he gave the vidya of all these missiles and बाण विद्या उन्होंने बहुत सिखाई थी उनको. उसके बाद उन्होंने वो जाकर के रिक्वेस्ट करके वो धनुष तोड़ दिया था जो शिव भगवान का था धनुष. उसके बाद दशरथ जी को बुलाया गया था और फिर शादी की गई थी, मतलब शादी. तो जब ये आए हैं कोर्ट में, जनक जी के कोर्ट में आए हैं, तो ये लोग बातें कर रहे हैं. तो जनक जी ने बोला है कि अब आप अपना परिचय दीजिए. तो परिचय में लोग क्या कहते हैं, हम ये हैं, हम वो हैं. तो इधर पे क्या हो रहा है कि परिचय में तो सबको पता है कि वो कहाँ के राजा है. इसमें परिचय में पूरा अपना पूरा लीनिएज भी बताया गया. तो और ये कौन बता रहा है, तो ये इसका वर्णन विश्वामित्र जी जो है उनका परमिशन लेकर के किया गया है. जनक जी ने बोला है कि आप बताइए. तो दशरथ जी कहते हैं कि अगर विश्वामित्र जी की आज्ञा हो, बिकॉज विश्वामित्र इज अगेन अ वेरी पावरफुल ऋषि, विश्वामित्र जी की अगर आज्ञा हो तो हम वशिष्ठ जी से कहेंगे कि वशिष्ठ जी हमारे लीनिएज का पूरा हमें एक डिस्क्रिप्शन दे. तो वशिष्ठ जी जो है वो पूरा जब लीनिएज का डिस्क्रिप्शन खत्म करते हैं तो एक बहुत ही अच्छी लाइन बोलते हैं. ही सेज समथिंग वेरी नाइस. इक्ष्वाकु कुल में उत्पन्न हुए राजाओं का वंश आदि काल से. Now what do you mean by आदि काल? आदि काल is from since the beginning of time. आदि काल से ही शुद्ध रहा है. शुद्ध रहा है as in pure. So there is you can trace the whole lineage, right? ये सब के सब परम धर्मात्मा. So they are all very very religious, as in धर्मात्मा, वीर, brave, and satyavadi. So those who speak the truth. So this is something that he clarifies. So understand the three traits of Ikshvaku kings. Dharmatma, that they are very, very scholarly, religious, and those who believe in dharma. Veer, extremely brave. And Satyavadi. Satyavadi, those who speak a lot of truth. So this is the three words that can describe the whole Ikshvaku lineage. And that is why again and again you find such great kings in Ayodhya and in the kingdom, the Ikshvaku, the lineage. Now the first question is, who established Ayodhya, right? So this answer is given to us in Balkand, okay? And so this is a shlok in the Balkand which says, Ayodhya nam nagri tatra asit lok vishruta manuna manav indren ya puri nirmata swayam. So what this translates to is, a world-renowned Nagri is in that kingdom of Kosala, the Puri of which is personally built by Manu, the foremost ruler of mankind. So what do you mean by the foremost ruler of mankind? He is the first human on earth. He is the progenitor of the human species. Manu is the person who regenerates the humankind after every pralay. So this is Manu who has started, who established Ayodhya, and his sons then ruled Ayodhya. So the first king of Ayodhya technically is Manu. Okay, I'm going to tell you about Manu came to being. Okay, so the shlok in Sanskrit says,
अव्यक्त प्रभवो ब्रह्मा शाश्वतो नित्य अव्ययः तस्मात् मारीचिः संजज्ये मारीचेह कश्यपः सुतः विवस्वान् कश्यपात् जज्ये मनुर्वैवस्वतः स्मृतः.
What this basically means is, the unprovable emanated the timeless, changeless and perishless Brahma, and from that being, namely Brahma, Marichi is begotten, and Kashyap is the son of Marichi, and the son is begotten from Kashyap. Son, what they mean by son is Vivaswan. So the current son, or the current sun god that we have, he is called Vivaswan. And so the son is begotten from Kashyap, and Manu is said to be the son of the sun. So a lot of times Manu is called the Vivaswat Manu. So why is he called Vivaswat? Because in Sanskrit, any name ending with na, halant na, Vivaswan turns into Vivaswat. So Vivaswat Manu is the first Manu of our Manvantar, and we are all children of Vivaswat Manu. Okay, now in Hindi, this explanation, not everybody can understand it, so I'll just explain this in Hindi, because sometimes the English words that are used are slightly tricky. So what it means in Hindi is, Brahma ji ki utpatti ka karyan avyakt hai. We do not know why Brahma was born. Ye swayambhu hai. He's Swayambhu. He manifested himself, right? Nitya, Shashwat और अविनाशी, नित्य, शाश्वत और अविनाशी हैं, उनसे मारीची की उत्पत्ति हुई, मारीची के पुत्र कश्यप हैं, और कश्यप से विवस्वान और विवस्वान का, और विवस्वान से विवस्वत मनु का जन्म हुआ है. So this is before Manu, and why I've mentioned this is because a lot of people wonder what is the gotra of Ram Bhagwan. So some people say it is Kashyap and some say Vashisht. Vashisht because Vashisht is the Rajarshi, और जो राज के जो ऋषि होते हैं उनके, जो उनके कुल के ऋषि हैं, तो वशिष्ठ भी हो सकते हैं. And some say he is Kashyap because ये कश्यप जी से उनका lineage आता है. क्यों? क्योंकि विवस्वान जी जो हैं वो कश्यप जी के पुत्र हैं, और विवस्वान के पुत्र जो हैं वो विवस्वत मनु हैं. So going further, he says, और ये कौन बोल रहा है? Who is saying this to us? This is being narrated to us by Vashisht ji himself. Okay, so then he says,
Manuha prajapatihi purvam ikshvakuha cha manoha sutaha tam ikshvakum ayodhyayam rajanam vidhi purvakam.
Manu is the earliest Prajapati, and Ikshvaku is the son of Manu. Ikshvaku is the son of Manu, And that Ikshvaku is the first king of Ayodhya. So we've got the first king of Ayodhya. It's counted from Ikshvaku. Why Ikshvaku? Because he's the king. He's the son of Manu, and Manuji is the progenitor of the human species. And this is something that I have mentioned in my book as well. My book Amazing Ayodhya. It's mentioned there. In fact, the part one of Amazing Ayodhya, I cover all of this. It's like who established Ayodhya, what is the importance of Manu. So if anybody reads that, or if anybody has, read that, they'll understand it very clearly. When was Ayodhya established, and also the unbroken link of these kings from the time of Manu to Ram Bhagwan's time is also mentioned there with proof. Okay. Now going further.
इक्ष्वाकोः तु सुतः श्रीमान् कुक्षिः इति एव विश्रुतः कुक्षेः अथ आत्मजः श्रीमान् विकुक्षिः उपपद्यत.
The son of Ikshvaku, legendary Kukshi. Thus he is renowned. And the famous Vikukshi is the son of Kukshi. Now we've got our first king, who is Ikshvaku. We've got the second king, who is Kukshi. And the third king, who is Vikukshi. Ikshvaku के पुत्र का नाम कुक्षी था. वे बड़े ही तेजस्वी थे. कुक्षी से विकुक्षी नामक कांतिमान पुत्र का जन्म हुआ.
विकुक्षेः तु महातेजा बाणः पुत्रः प्रतापवान् बाणस्य तु महातेजा अनरण्यः प्रतापवान्.
From that most brilliant and courageous Vikukshi, Ban emerged as son, and the highly refulgent and valiant Anaranya is the son of Ban. So Aranya means jungle, and Anaranya means that which is not jungle. So what this basically means is sophisticated, and we all know what Ban means. So Ban is like, Tir Kaman, and so that's Ban. So they have very wonderful names as well, right? So now, बाण इज द फोर्थ किंग. हिंदी में अगर हम पढ़ेंगे इसी को, तो विकुक्षी के पुत्र महातेजस्वी और प्रतापी बाण हुए. बाण के पुत्र का नाम अनअरण्य था. वे भी बड़े तेजस्वी और प्रतापी थे. So when you come across a name like Anaranya, which means not in the jungle, so that means he's a Nagar. And what is a Nagar? A Nagar means those who dwell in Nagars. And, it is synonymous with sophistication. So this is, those who are adept in Sanskrit literature. So whenever the word Nagar comes or Anaranya comes, so that means sophisticated. Another synonym for it is sophisticated. So this is the reason I'm trying to explain it to you, so that you all also learn a little bit about our own ancient culture and what these Sanskrit words mean. Okay, going next.
अनरण्यात् पृथुः जज्ञे त्रिशङ्कुः तु पृथोः सुतः त्रिशङ्कोः अभवत् पुत्रो धुन्धुमारः महायशः.
Prithu is the son of Anaranya, and Trishanku is Prithu's son, and the highly renowned Dhundumara happened to be the son of Trishanku. Now we all know the story of Trishanku. He's the one who got stuck in the middle because he wanted his whole body to go to heaven, and he got stuck, right? So this is the story of Trishanku, right? तो हिंदी में इसका अर्थ है कि अनरण्य से पृथु और पृथु से त्रिशंकु का जन्म हुआ. त्रिशंकु के पुत्र महायशस्वी धुंधुमार थे. सो त्रिशंकु इज किंग नंबर 7 of Ayodhya. We are counting kings from Ikshvaku. So from Ikshvaku, he is the 7th king, if Ikshvaku is the first king. And the 8th king would then be Dhundumar. Okay?
धुन्धुमारात् महातेजा युवनाश्वो महारथः युवनाश्वसुतः असीत् मान्धाता पृथ्वीपतिः.
Dhundumara begot a highly glorious and a very, very, fast charioteer. Yuvanashva as son, and Mandhata emerged as the son of Yuvanashva. Okay, Dhundumar Sit Mahatejasvi Maharathi. So wherever the word Maharathi comes in Sanskrit, it means somebody who is a very, very sophisticated charioteer, a very skilled charioteer. So Dashrath also means that, right? Maharathi जो थे युवनश्व का जन्म हुआ. युवनश्व के पुत्र मांधाता हुए जो समस्त भूमंडल के स्वामी थे. So because Manu is the first Prajapati, and because this is the lineage, so technically all of Earth comes under their dominance. So had we lost anything, had the Ikshvaku dynasty lost anything, then this king must have gone and conquered it again. Okay, that is why they're saying Mandhata Samast Bhumandal ke Swami the. So he was the king of the Samast Bhumandal. That means the whole of the earth, right? Going further, Vashishti says,
Mandhatuh tu sutah Shriman susandhihi udapadyata Susandheha api putrau dvau Dhruvasandhihi prasenajit.
Mandhata engendered the highly noble Susandhi as son, and even Susandhi engendered two sons, namely Dhruv Sandhi and Prasenjit. मानधाता सुसंधि नामक कांतिमान पुत्र का मानधाता से सुसंधि नामक कांतिमान पुत्र का जन्म हुआ. सुसंधि के भी दो पुत्र हुए, ध्रुव संधि और प्रसेनजीत. Now Dhruv Sandhi is the 11th king of the Ikshvaku dynasty.
यशस्वी ध्रुव संदेह तु भरतो नाम नामतः भरतात तु महातेजा असितो नाम जायत.
From Dhruv Sandhi, an illustrious one named as Bharat is begotten, and Bharat begot a highly effulgent son named as Asit. Now Asit's story is very, very interesting. Okay, and I'll just tell you his story, and after his story we'll put a full stop, and in the next session I'm going to cover the whole thing, the part 2 of it. So ध्रुव संधि से भरत नामक यशस्वी पुत्र का जन्म हुआ. भरत से महातेजस्वी असित की उत्पत्ति हुई. And then he says,
यस्य एते प्रतिराजन उदपत्यन्त शात्रवः हैहय तालजङ्घाः च शूराः च शशबिन्द्वः.
now this is where it gets interesting. To which Asit, kings like Haihai, Tal Jangha, and the various Shashbindus have become adversaries, and king in hostilities, he had to wage war with them. So there are 3 races of people he means, or maybe they are kingdoms, we don't know. And the races are Haihai, Tal Janga, and Shashbindaha. So these 3 kings, or these 3 races of people, have a problem with Asit, and all 3 of them combine and attack him. राजा असित के साथ है ताल जंग और शशबिंदु, इन 3 राजवंशों के लोग शत्रुता रखने लगे थे.
तान च स प्रतियुध्यन् वैयुद्धे राजा प्रवासितः हिमवन्तम् उपागम्य भार्याभ्यां सहितः तदा.
While counter-attacking those kings, Asit is dethroned in war, and then he reached Himalayas along with his 2 wives. So Asit जी की 2 पत्नियां होती हैं. युद्ध में इन तीनों शत्रुओं का सामना करते हुए राजा असित प्रवासी हो गए. इसका मतलब है कि उनको अपनी किंगडम छोड़नी पड़ी, उनको भागना पड़ा वहां से. एंड वे अपनी दोनों रानियों के साथ हिमालय पर जाकर के रहने लग गए. So he goes to the Himalayas because he's now dethroned, right? So he's in the Himalayas.
असितो अल्पबलो राजा कालधर्मम् उपेयिवान् द्वे च अस्य भार्ये गर्भिण्यै बभूवतुः इति श्रुति एका गर्भा विनाश अर्थं सपत्न्यै सगरं ददौ.
Asit was with meager forces when he was in the Himalayas, and there he drew nigh of his time. At the time of his demise, two of his wives were pregnant, and one of the wives gave toxic food to the co-wife for abortion. Thus we heard. राजा असित के पास बहुत ही थोड़ी सेना शेष रह गई थी. वे हिमालय पर ही मृत्यु को प्राप्त हो गए. उस समय उनकी दोनों रानियां गर्भवती थीं, ऐसा सुना गया है.
ततः शैलवरे रम्ये बभूव अभिरतो मुनिः भार्गव च्यवनो नाम हिमवन्तम् उपाश्रितः.
There was a saint named च्यवन. जिससे च्यवन प्राश आता है, right? The heir of sage Bhrigu, who in fascination with best and beautiful mountains, then taking shelter on the Himalayas. हिंदी में बताती हूँ. उस समय उस रमणीय एवं श्रेष्ठ पर्वत पर भृगुकुल में उत्पन्न हुए महामुनि च्यवन तपस्या में लगे हुए थे. हिमालय पर ही उनका आश्रम था.
तत्र च एका महाभागा भार्गवं देववर्चसं ववन्दे पद्मपत्राक्षी काङ्क्षन्ति सुतम् उत्तमम्. तं ऋषिं सा अभ्युपागम्य कालिन्दी च अभ्यवादत. सताम् अभ्यवदत विप्रः पुत्र इप्सुं पुत्र जन्मनि.
One of the two wives of Asit, the lotus petal eyed and the fortunate one queen, came there desirous of a best son, and reverenced the sage who is godly in his glow. तो ये उनकी जो पत्नी थी, जब वो आई तो वो एक सेज के पास गई, क्योंकि उनको पहले से ही पॉइजन खिला दिया गया है. उन दोनों रानियों में से एक, जिसने जहर दे दिया था, कालिंदी नाम से प्रसिद्ध थी. विकसित कमल दल के समान नेत्रों वाली महाभागा कालिंदी एक उत्पन्न पुत्र को पाने की इच्छा रखती थी. उसने देवतुल्य तेजस्वी भृगुनंदन च्यवन के पास जाकर उन्हें प्रणाम किया. श्लोक से. So what does he say?
तव कुक्षौ महाभागे सुपुत्रः सुमहाबलः महावीर्यो महातेजा अचिरात् संजनिष्यति. गरेण सहितः श्रीमान् माशुचः कमले क्षणे.
O highly fortunate lady, a very good son, a very mighty son is there in your womb. So Rishi च्यवन is saying this. Soon you will give birth to a highly virtuous, highly refulgent son, and that illustrious one will take birth with toxicity. But there is no need to worry. So said sage च्यवन to the queen of Asit, who had received the poison. So sage च्यवन tells her, don't worry. That son will be born with poison, but he will be a great son nevertheless, right? तो हिंदी में इसका ये है. उस समय ब्रह्मर्षि च्यवन ने पुत्र की अभिलाषा रखने वाली कालिंदी से पुत्र जन्म के विषय में कहा, महाभागे, तुम्हारे उदर में. सो उदर इन हिंदी एंड इन संस्कृत मीन्स द स्टमक. तो तुम्हारे उदर में एक महान बलवान महातेजस्वी महापराक्रमी उत्तम पुत्र है. वह कांतिमान बालक थोड़े ही दिनों में गर जो होता है उसे जहर को भी गर कहा जाता है, वो गर के साथ उत्पन्न होगा. अतः कमल लोचने, तुम पुत्र के लिए चिंता न करो. So the word udar actually means stomach. So let's say, for example, sahodar. So the word sahodar means brother in Sanskrit. So sah udar, जो हमारे साथ पेट में रहा है उसे सहोदर कहते हैं. So brothers and twins are called sahodars. And another name, mandodri, right? So mand udar wali. So what that means is कि जिसका एक छोटा उदर हो, like पतली कमर. So this is often translated as with a thin waist or a thin stomach, right? So वो जो गर्ग के साथ है तो वो पेट में है और वो बहुत ही अच्छा राजा बनेगा. So this is the prediction that has been given, right?
च्यवनं च नमस्कृत्य राजपुत्री पतिव्रता पत्या विरहिता तस्मात् पुत्रं देवी व्यजायत.
On reverencing sage Chavan, that husband devout princess whose husband is no more, that lady gave birth to a son. जो वो विधवा पतिव्रता स्त्री थी, फिर उन्होंने एक पुत्र को जन्म दिया.
सपत्न्या तु गर्ह तस्यै दत्तो गर्भ जिघांसया सहतेन गरेण एव संजातः सगरो अभवत्.
Because he took birth along with the poison administered to his mother by his co-wife, he became Sagar, the emperor. वह विधवा राजकुमारी कालिंदी बड़ी पतिव्रता थी. महर्षि च्यवन को नमस्कार करके वह देवी अपने आश्रम लौट गईं. फिर समय आने पर उन्होंने एक पुत्र को जन्म दिया. उसकी सौत ने उसके गर्भ को नष्ट कर देने के लिए जो गर्विश दिया था, उसके साथ ही उत्पन्न होने के कारण वह राजकुमार सगर नाम से विख्यात हुआ. And this king is one of the most important kings of the Ikshvaku dynasty, and we'll end it here today. He's one of the most important kings of the Ikshvaku dynasty because Sagar के 60,000 पुत्र थे. And Sagar के 60,000 पुत्रों ने ही जो हमारा आज जो भूगोल है और जो हमारा ओशन है उसको एक्सपैंड किया था. So जो ओशन जो एक्सपैंड किया था उनके पुत्रों ने, तो उसको सगर के 60,000 पुत्रों ने एक्सपैंड किया था. इसीलिए ओशन को सागर कहते हैं, एज इफ वो खुद ही सगर से उत्पन्न हुआ है. तो इसका भी वर्णन वाल्मीकि रामायण में अलग अलग जगह पे दिया हुआ है. सगर के बारे में, सगर के 60,000 पुत्रों के बारे में, उन्होंने क्यों किया था, कैसे किया था, इसका पूरा एक्सप्लेनेशन दिया गया है. So we often assume, in the West it is assumed that the shape of the ocean and the shape of the continents is because of like some sort of tectonic plate shifts. But if we take a look at the Hindu scriptures, it says that it was purposefully dug, and it was dug because they were searching for a horse, for an Ashwamedh horse. That is, a part of the Valmiki Ramayana, and that is why the ocean is called Sagar in Sanskrit and in Hindi. So we'll end here. The word Sagar means who is with poison. So he was born with poison because his mother was poisoned while he was in the womb. And we'll stop here. We'll do it in another session. And in the next session, we'll complete all the kings of Ayodhya till Sri Ramji. So this ends the first part of Meet the Kings of Ayodhya. If anybody has any questions, I'm very happy to answer them. And thank you everybody for listening.
बहुत बहुत सुंदर दीदी. Thank you so much for such beautiful कथा of Kings of Ayodhya. हम लोग बहुत मतलब सब हिंदू आपसे गर्वित हैं कि आप इतना सुंदर भगवान पे मतलब हमेशा श्री राम जी पे कहते हो, और अयोध्या के बारे में भी आप इतनी वास्ट नॉलेज जो है हम सबके साथ शेयर करते हो. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद दीदी.
Welcome. I hope that you'll remember the names now. So if anybody asks you, you can always tell them. Okay. So and we know अगर किसी ने आपसे पूछा कि राम जी का क्या गोत्र है, तो या तो वो कश्यप गोत्र के माने जाते हैं या वशिष्ठ गोत्र के माने जाते हैं. So this is basic information that we must have, and as Hindus we must know our lineage at least to the previous 7 or 12 generations. We must know, and one of the main reasons why this conversation or this has been mentioned in the Valmiki Ramayana, it is because Janak ji and Dashrath ji are sitting in the darbar of Janak ji, and the talks of marriage are going on, and at the time of marriage, both the parties, both the groom side as well as the bride side, we are supposed to disclose our lineage so that there is no intermingling or intermarriage between brothers, sisters, cousins. And 7 जन्मों तक के रिश्ते देखे जाते हैं, उसमें कोई डायरेक्ट ब्लड रिलेशनशिप नहीं होना चाहिए मदर एंड फादर साइड पे. इस पे तो सिर्फ फादर साइड पे देखा गया है. And so I hope that helps everybody. Anybody else with any other comments or any questions, please feel free to ask me. Hello, Ishan.
Namaste, Neena ji. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah, I was actually going through the book as well, based on the references
Okay.
simultaneously. So I was just in listening mode.
Okay, so this one is not referenced in the book anywhere. So this is...
No, I was finding at least who was Manu, and then this thing going through the index, going backwards.
Okay. So this is in the part
Thoda shortcut.
Part 1. हाँ, Part 1 पे आपको मिल जाएगा. Part 1 अगर आप देखेंगे अमेजिंग अयोध्या का, तो आपको सारी इन्फॉर्मेशन मनु और मनु जी की इम्पोर्टेंस आपको पता चल जाएगी. तो ये मैं इसलिए भी रिपीट कर रही हूँ क्योंकि मुझसे बहुत लोगों ने पूछा है कि किस गोत्र के थे, कौन से नंबर के राजा थे. विष्णु जी, any questions? Shaunak, Sandeep, and then we'll close this room. Nix, any questions?
This is your club, ma'am?
Yeah, this is my club. You can
Yeah, so I've joined.
Yeah, so you can subscribe to this club as well. And the next few days I'll continue the next kings of Ayodhya.
नीना जी, मेरा एक प्योर एकेडमिक क्वेश्चन है. पूरी तरीके से इससे रिलेटेड नहीं भी हो सकता है.
जी.
Have you gone through the recent studies conducted by Shrikant Talagiri?
Which one in particular?
Recent उनका एक I have heard 2 of his talks. उसमें he mentions about 2 Vedic tribes which were primarily they were dwelling in nowadays what we call as Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, all this area. Uttar Pradesh and Haryana. So one is Yadus and the other one is Ikshwakus.
Yeah.
So मेरा ये question ये था कि is this the same Ikshwaku of the
Yes, it should be. I don't know why he's calling them a tribe, because they're not a tribe. They are proper city dwellers. So tribes, generally when we associate them in the jungles. This is the modern day association of tribes. And these are Nagars. Nagars are, जो नगर में रहता है उसे नागर कहते हैं. उसी से शब्द नागरिक आया है. So they are more sophisticated. So Ikshwaku is...
I guess tribe as in मेरे ख्याल से वो family के हिसाब से बोलना चाहते हैं. I guess what he was trying to say is, जितना मैंने construe किया कि जो
Vanshi, then the appropriate term would have been Yadu Vanshis and Ikshwaku Vanshis.
हाँ, right. So मेरे ख्याल से वो जो ऋग्वेद में है ना, Battle of the 10 Kings का.
Yeah.
तो उसमें क्योंकि the battle was fought between the Purus and the Anus और ध्रुयुस के बीच में, तो then उन्होंने बोला कि जो initial जो मतलब the old books, ऋग्वेदिक books जो हैं, उनमें बहुत ज़्यादा इक्ष्वाकुस and यदुस का वर्णन नहीं मिलता है. And the later ऋग्वेदिक books जो हैं, उनमें we see a lot of mention of इक्ष्वाकुस and Yadus, and he also says that जो Ikshwakus and Yadus का जो culture था, that is what has led to जो कि हम लोग modern day spiritual aspect जिसको बोलते हैं ना Hinduism का, which has to do with the Upanyas and Puran and the philosophy, Hindu philosophy जो है, वो ज्यादा प्रेवलेंट इन ट्राइब, मतलब इन दो फैमिलीज में थी सॉर्ट ऑफ. एंड जो ऋग्वेद या वैदिक, जो अर्ली वैदिक जो हम लोग फिलोसफी बोलते हैं, या फिर जो रिलीजन जो है अर्ली वैदिक रिलीजन, दैट इज व्हाट द पुरुष यूज्ड टू, वो उसका ज्यादा प्रैक्टिस करते हैं.
पुरुष की इक्ष्वाकुस.
ऋग्वेदिक का जो है, दैट इज व्हाट हिज बुक सेज कि the Rigved is primarily a Puru text.
Achha.
Because we see a lot of mention of the Puru kings and not the kings of the other clans. जैसे कि एक दो, जैसे अनु जो ट्राइब है उसमें से एक का वर्णन कवि चायमान का बहुत ज्यादा वर्णन आता है, बिकॉज ही
कवि चायमान की च्यवन
चयवान है मेरे ख्याल से.
च्यवन की चायवन. आपने संस्कृत में पढ़ा कि आप चयावान? अच्छा ठीक है, क्योंकि मैंने उनकी पुस्तक नहीं पढ़ी है. बट एक बात मैं सही कहूंगी इस बात में कि जो हमारा जो धर्म है वो इक्ष्वाकु डिनेस्टी से आता है. तो और ये कहाँ लिखा है? आपको यहाँ वहाँ कहीं पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं है, ऋग्वेद नहीं पढ़ने की जरूरत है. किसी ने भी अगर गीता पढ़ी है तो गीता में, और ये बात मैंने अपनी पुस्तक में भी लिखा है, पेज 14 ऑफ अमेजिंग अयोध्या सेज दिस. तो गीता में क्या लिखा है? तो गीता में भगवान कहते हैं श्री, सो गीता का श्लोक है ये, एंड एनीबडी कैन ओपन इट राइट नाउ एंड आल्सो टेक अ लुक. गीता का चैप्टर 4 श्लोक नंबर 1. ओके.
श्री भगवान उवाच इमं विवस्वते योगं प्रोक्तवान् अहम् अव्ययम् विवस्वान् मनवे प्राह मनुर्इक्ष्वाकवे ब्रवीत्.
Okay, so what this basically means, what is he saying? This is a chapter on Gyan Yoga, the yoga of true knowledge. And Sri Krishna or Lord Krishna reveals how true spiritual knowledge is received by disciplic succession. Okay, so he says that it is he who taught the eternal science of yoga to the sun god Vivaswan. Vivaswan passed it on to his son Manu, who in turn did the same to Ikshvaku. The shlok, so this is a shlok that I've actually mentioned in my book as well. So all the religious information that we have, especially about yoga, comes from this. And this is actually mentioned in page 14. So हमें वेद या इसका मतलब अगर हम गीता को ही पढ़ें जिसे वेदांत कहते हैं तो उसमें हमें ये आंसर मिलता है.
थैंक यू मीना जी.
मोस्ट वेलकम. एंड जो यदु हैं और ये जितने भी हैं ना, यदुस आर एक्चुअली, इफ आई एम नॉट मिस्टेकन, बिकॉज श्री कृष्ण जी उसी वंश के माने जाते हैं. यदु से यादव आते हैं, जैसे मनु से मानव, जहाँ पे भी ऊ लगता है उसके जो वंशज होते हैं संस्कृत में उनको आव से जाना जाता है. राइट, आई हैव सेड दिस बिफोर. सो यदु से यादव, मनु से मानव, धनु से दानव, रघु से राघव. राइट, सो कृष्ण जी को यादव माना जाता है और यदु जो है वो चंद्रवंशी हैं. तो मनु जी के जो इक्ष्वाकु से सोलर डिनेस्टी, क्योंकि ये सब विवस्वन के पुत्र हैं, और ईला जो थी उन्होंने चंद्र से शादी की थी, तो वहां से चंद्रवंशी माने जाते हैं. तो the solar and the lunar kings technically, okay, and इन्हीं का हम धर्म इन्हीं के जो है वो हम सब पालन करते हैं. तो ये गीता में भी लिखा है. गीता में स्पेसिफिकली सोलर किंग्स के बारे में लिखा है. तो हम इक्ष्वाकु वंशियों के धर्म को आज हम पालन करते हैं. So I think he's saying the same thing, except that he's trying to look for the proof in the Vedas while it is clearly stated in the Gita. I hope that helps you, Shaunak.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Hi Casey and hi Bharat. If not, then we'll put an end to this room. Okay. Okay. Thank you everybody. Thank you for being here. Vishnu ji, boliye.
Thank you so much. That's all.
So in the next few days, please follow this club. In the next few days, I'm going to then list out all the kings of the remaining 20 kings of Ikshvaku dynasty and those who ruled Ayodhya before Bhagwan Ram. And that will be in part 2. Thank you everybody. Thank you for being here. Jai Shri Ram, everybody.
Jai Shri Ram.